Having enough safe and affordable housing is a concern in many big cities, and Houston is no exception. Except here, there's a team of policymakers, nonprofit and business leaders, researchers, and everyday citizens coming together to create solutions.
Now the Houston Housing Collaborative has a woman leading the way whose impressive resume is just part of her story. Lori Pompilo has worked with Habitat for Humanity International for 14 years. But it's her personal experience that gave her a firsthand understanding of why solving housing issues is so critical.
This morning, Owen Conflenti sits down with Harris for this week's Sunday Conversation.
So you're just a few months in town as the executive director of the Houston Housing Collaborative. And I wanted you to tell us just a little bit about that, what the collaborative is made up of, the goals, the mission.
Sure. I think the Houston community should be very excited about the Houston Housing Collaborative. It's made up of housing practitioners. It's made up of not-for-profit organizations and community members who care deeply about affordable housing and community development in the city of Houston. We have the resources, and if we have the will to come together and create a sense of urgency before this gets out of hand, I think we have a wonderful opportunity here in the city of Houston to make generational impact.
How did you fall into housing as a career? 'Cause it sounds like most of your careers is somehow related to housing.
Yeah, so I first initially started off my career as a faith-based organizer, and that meant working with different faiths and having these one-on-one conversations and really try to uncover what is it that was our barrier to living a healthy, successful, and thriving life in our communities. That issue was around housing, and so that kind of started me thinking about what housing means to a community.
We know the home is important. Is owning a home still the American dream, and why or why not?
That's an interesting question, and I think controversial, right? So that's the traditional model when you're thinking about creating wealth for yourself. But I think as you come to look at the generation that's coming behind me, is that they are really investing in themselves and having a thriving life where you can travel, where you can create, a healthy lifestyle, where you get to do things other than outside of a house is important. And so renting, affordable rent, is really important. I know that there's some cities who are really looking at shipping container units because those are lower cost, looking at tiny homes, also are looking at micro housing. We have lots of land here. So I don't know if building up in kind of like micro housing would be appropriate here. We always want, when we think about affordable housing, we want to keep the context of the tradition of the neighborhood and the community there. And so how do we build within the community affordable housing that's right and appropriate for that community, which is why having those community members at the table with decision makers and policymakers is really important.
Where did you learn the value of a home? What was a personal experience in your life, maybe growing up, where you knew that this is what we all need?
Yeah, so I appreciate that question. Not a lot of times I share kind of my personal story, but I think here it's really important for Houston to understand that I'm just not coming in out of nowhere saying I care about housing. Housing has mattered to me, not just in my professional career, but also personally. I was a homeless teen mother. I became pregnant when I was 17 and didn't have a place to go after my family left me. And so I was couch surfing. And then after a while, I was able to get subsidized housing. I lived in the projects throughout college. And it was exactly when you think about projects. It was underdeveloped. I remember having a pipe coming out of my kitchen floor that was never fixed for over 4 years. And my son would just kind of use it as a speed bump as he's crawling over it. And I remember being hesitant to even complain about that pipe because I was so insecure about, well, if I complain, they're going to take my house away and I need a place to stay. So the insecurity and instability of not having a safe place to thrive, a place where I lay my head down at night and dream for myself and for my family, that is what personally drives me.
Was it as simple, I'm a parent too, was it as simple as looking at your boy every day and that's what pushed you through? What was the motivation other than, or was that it?
Yeah, he was a part of it, but it was also this misconception of you'll always be this teen mother, the stigma, and you'll always live in the projects. And that was something that really drove me of, just because of my zip code, just because of my economic status, is not going to determine how I'm going to be. We don't want anybody to fight their way out. We want them to thrive within that community. And that's really the reason that I'm pushing and personally really driven around this issue of housing.
Harris says while there are a lot of government housing resources, unfortunately, many times families who need the support the most don't get an adequate share. And that means they have less money to invest in other things that will improve their lives, like education. Harris says it wasn't easy, but pursuing a higher education enhanced her and her family's future. Her son, who she mentioned, is now an emergency room resident doctor.
Wow.
Yeah.